Your vibe matters, especially when it comes to your business. The success you do or don't have, the stress you do or don't feel, the people you do or don't attract. It all comes back to the dominant thoughts, emotions, and actions you have as a business owner and how they are playing out in your business. So in this episode, I'm breaking down why your thoughts and emotions matter to your business success, how to know what your dominant vibration is, and steps you can take to raise your vibration and become a high vibe magnet for your business. So stay tuned. Hey there, I'm Shawn Mynar, and this is Unstuck Entrepreneur. I'm a former nutritionist who turned a struggling, stressful nutrition practice into a thriving, freedom-filled online business where I work from home in my sweatpants while reaching and helping thousands of people all at the same time. Now I'm obsessed with showing other heart-centered coaches, practitioners, and solopreneurs how to build a business and life they love. Consider this podcast your safe space to learn both the inner work and practical strategies required to build the impactful, profitable business of your dreams. No hustle, grind, or long hours required. That's right, hustle culture, not welcome here. Let's get into today's session. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to the Unstuck Entrepreneur podcast. I am Shawn, your host on each and every episode. So happy to be here. So grateful to have you checking out the show. Means so much to me, all of your support. So we got to talk about your vibe today. More importantly, your vibe as it relates to your business. What this will require from you is some honesty. I need you to be super honest with yourself as we're going through this conversation so that you can change things if things need to be changed, which, let's be honest, we all probably have some things to work on. And in a lot of cases, and a lot of the people that I work with, the vibe that you're bringing into your business is one of those things that needs some work. So we are going to do that together today. Before we get into it, a little update on what to expect from me and the show as we head into what is known as the holiday season for many of us. I am going to take a little bit of a podcast break in the month of December. I have now been podcasting for almost 8 years straight. And I've never taken a holiday break. I've only taken a few breaks total at all, maybe 2 or 3. And I've always kind of provided some best of episodes in that time. But I'm not going to do that this time because a few reasons. First of all, not that many people listen to podcasts over the holidays. The month of December has notoriously been the lowest download month in the last 7 Decembers that I have been podcasting, and for good reason. We got other stuff going on and travel and, holiday stuff, holiday gatherings. So it's a good time to just take an actual break. And also it's a good time to allow you all as listeners to catch up. I hear from a lot of you actually that you're a few episodes behind at least and trying to catch up, but then there's a new one every week. And so you never actually get to. This is your chance to catch up and get on track so that when the show comes back in January, you'll be ready to go. You'll be right on target and back to listening as they come out. So that is the plan for the month of December. I will be doing quite a few things on the back end. First of all, I will still be on Instagram all the time. I will still show up in your inbox once a week with some valuable tools and resources for you. So if you're on my email list, you'll still be getting your Wednesday emails. And if you're not, well, hey, get on over there. ShawnMynar.com will give you the resources to do that. And then we can still keep in touch. But also, I'm taking an actual real vacation Like nothing on the calendar, nothing I have to do. To be honest, even for my honeymoon, I still had to work a little bit. So I still had to bring my computer. I still had to check in on some things. Wasn't that great, but I had to do it. I don't have to do that for this vacation. So taking a real vacation, which is exciting. So I'll be doing that in December. And also I'm taking on a major undertaking that will be an incredibly expansive opportunity for me and my business. That's going to be happening in December. And I really want to make sure that I have the space and time I need to be able to do that to its maximum capacity. And I'll let you know what that is and how it's going and everything when I come back in January. So I'm not just keeping you out of the loop entirely, but want to get some under my belt before I give you an update. So that's what I'll be doing in December. And I'm really looking forward to that. A little break is always a good thing. And a reminder, if you need a break, it's okay. You can take a break, whether it's because of the holidays or just because you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. Go ahead, take a break. It's not going to mean your business is doomed forever or anything like that. It's okay. All right, let's get into talking about your vibration. I've talked about this a number of times here on the Unstuck Entrepreneur podcast. It's a major theme we have going on here. So it's going to be a little bit of review for some of you, but it has been a while since I've dedicated an entire episode to talking about your energy, your vibration, your frequency, what you're attracting into your business, into your life. It goes for all aspects of your life. But of course, we're going to talk about it specifically as it relates to your business because that's what we're here to do. And it's something I see often, like I mentioned at the top of the episode, that is a sticking point for a lot of my clients. And it's something that is entirely in your hands to change. And when you change this one thing, gosh, the other things that will change along with it. It is absolutely fascinating to see, to witness in my clients, but also to have experienced myself all the time. You know, it's almost like a constant thing. And that is something we have to talk about, is that the work that is involved when we talk about your vibration, your frequency, it is a continuous process. It's not something that you can kind of focus on for a day or a week or a month and then go back to your old habits. This needs to be your new focus, your new habit. And we'll get into that in some ways that you can do that. First, let's talk about what I mean when I say your vibe. A lot of you have probably heard this before, whether it was from me or someone else who's into the quote unquote woo-woo. You may have heard or seen the good vibes only, like t-shirts or bags or journals or whatever, that kind of stuff. It's out there. And what's important to note first and foremost is that while this may sound kind of in this quote unquote woo space, keep in mind, this is just science. Everything that I'm going to talk about with you today is backed in science, quantum physics to be exact. And actually, it's pretty practical when you really think about it. And of course, I will simplify it as much as I can and make it as practical for you as possible, because I think that helps a lot. Even for me, who's into the woo, I also like to think about it in this practical, science-y sense as well. So quantum physics tells us that everything is made up of energy, both the things that you can see, feel, taste, touch, and the things that you can't. The chair you're sitting on, the tree in your front yard, the apple you eat. Those things are made up of energy, but so are things like your thoughts, your emotions. I'll get into that. That's what is important for this particular conversation. Everything is made up of these tiny particles and subparticles vibrating at different speeds. The different speeds are known as frequencies. They are measured in hertz, and that is known as the law of vibration. Quantum physics also tells us that like frequencies are attracted to each other, and that is what's known as the law of attraction, which is all the rage these days. So like I said, in this episode, we're focusing on those emotions and thoughts, which we now know carry a vibration. They're vibrating energy. Now, also important to point out the relationship between thoughts and emotions right here, right now. Your thoughts dictate your emotions. So when you hold a thought for more than a few seconds, or if you have a thought that is repeated, which I think there's some stat that's 80% of our thoughts are just repeated every single day, which is fascinating and not that great, but it is what it is. We as humans are a little nuts sometimes. But anyway, so if you hold a thought for a few seconds, you create an emotion around that thought. So for example, in the business space, what I hear some of you business owners saying or thinking, really saying to yourself, I don't know how to do this. Now, this could come with a side of overwhelm or frustration. It could be I don't know how to do this. But it could also come with a side of curiosity and determination. Hey, I don't know how to do this. Even the inflection that I give in my voice, you can tell the different emotions that I am having because of that thought. So that thought, and really, if we go back even further, the beliefs that you have that spark that thought are what will create the emotion around it, the emotion that goes through your body, which then now you have created a frequency, a vibe. And that is what we're really getting at today. Now, another example, I might fail at this. A lot of business owners, one of the prime fears of a business owner is failing. So I might fail at this. That could be fear. Oh my gosh, I might fail at this. Ugh, I might fail at this. But it could come from a place of contentment. I might fail at this. Do you see the difference? Again, in my inflection, you can see how we can say the same words, we can have the same thoughts, but they are with a completely different vibe attached to them. And then we take it one step further, and you can see how that spirals forward into the actions that you take because of that thought-emotion combo. They're completely different actions based on what's going on, how you're perceiving that thought and the emotion that comes up because of it. So I think we can all agree that if you're overwhelmed and frustrated, you're not going to really do anything productive. You're going to be making poor decisions and trying to figure everything out on your own and coming up with nothing and just giving up and going and doing something else and talking yourself out of whatever you were up to. It's kind of this spiral downward, I guess we could say. Now, if you're curious or determined, then the actions you take are going to look a lot different and will move you forward. So if you're curious and determined, then you are going to sit down, focus, figure it out, call someone, get some help, see who's done it before, and learn from them and figure things out. So I don't know how to do this. That first example has completely different paths of action based on your emotion. Now let's take it even a little further and think about the most likely outcome that would happen if you're approaching something with the thought of, I don't know how to do this, and you're overwhelmed and frustrated. What do you think is going to happen to that person? Quantum physics tells us that this person's now going to attract situations that continue to feed into that overwhelm and frustration. They'll struggle. They'll come up against all kinds of blocks and problems. Okay, so now let's switch it and think about the person who has that same thought, but whose dominant emotions are curiosity and determination. They're going to be presented with situations that fulfill that curiosity and build up that determination. They'll have opportunities for growth. They'll be presented with solutions to problems they're having. They'll have experiences that help take them to the next level. Pretty nice, right? All right, so now let's think about the next example we had. If the person who's thinking, I might fail at this, is consumed with fear, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to attract more situations that are scary, that bring up that fear. More situations where they could fail. They'll continue to feel stuck. They'll continue to freeze instead of taking action. And they'll probably have a lot of challenges along the way. Now, the person who approaches that thought with contentment will attract more peaceful situations, more scenarios for learning and growth, more things falling into place, issues being resolved, more random opportunities to keep that level of contentment. So how can I sit here and make these predictions about these people and their scenarios? Because of their vibe. Remember, both your thoughts and emotions have their own frequency of vibration and will attract more of the same because like attracts like. So your dominant emotion is your attraction point. And quantum physics shows us that that frequency that is your dominant emotion is what you will continue to draw to you. And your dominant emotion, we now know, is dictated by your thoughts. So then if you want to change that attraction point, you need to change your thoughts to change your emotion, to change your vibe. Okay, I really had to lay that whole foundation. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope that makes sense. So now let's talk about how this specifically works in your business because, like I said, I am connecting with people like you all day, every day, which is like the best thing ever. But what I notice is their emotional state, where they are putting their attraction point. And it is a very emotionally charged place for new business owners or wannabe business owners to be, of course, rightfully so. Personally, I think being a business owner has probably been one of the most emotional journeys of my entire life. So I get it. I feel it. I have felt most of what you're feeling. I have been in all the vibes that could possibly be when it comes to my business. And it is a place that has, like I said at the beginning, an opportunity to change and to grow out of. And that's why I want to talk about it here and why I talk about it so much. Again, in my personal experience, it has absolutely transformed my life, not to mention my business. Not just in the success of it, but in how I approach it, how it feels to me, how I decide what to do or not do, my stress levels, which are super important to me that I keep as low as possible. And I want that for you too. I think that's possible for all of us. And I want you to have the tools you need to make that the case for you as well. So here's the question then. When it comes to your business, what would you say is your dominant emotion? I'm going to read off a list of possible emotions. This is not all the emotions in the world, but a list of some. This was originally created by Abraham Hicks. I've read this list before in a very early episode of Unstuck Entrepreneur. It also is available to you in Holistic Business Starter. We go over it and do some of the work in there as well. But it has this list of emotions that are in order from lowest frequency of vibration to highest frequency of vibration. And you'll notice that the higher the vibe gets, the more, I don't want to say positive or negative or anything like that, because emotions are just emotions, but you may feel like the more desirable that emotion would be for you. So let me read these off. I'm going to go from lowest frequency of vibration up to highest. So we'll start at the bottom with fear, grief, despair, and powerlessness. And I think we can all agree that fear is a big part of being a business owner, of the things that we do in business, the new stuff we have to learn and put ourselves out there and be willing to fail and be willing to be imperfect and all those things. So notice that fear is a low frequency of vibration. Okay, one step up, we have insecurity, guilt, and unworthiness. Then we have jealousy. Next, we have hatred and rage. One step up from that, we have anger and revenge. Then we have discouragement. After that, blame. One step up, worry. One more step up, doubt. Next, disappointment. Then overwhelm. Then we move into frustration, irritation, and impatience. Pessimism. Then we move up to boredom. Next is contentment. Then hopefulness. Then we get up really high into positive expectation, belief, and optimism. One more step up, almost to the top of this frequency scale, is enthusiasm, eagerness, and happiness. One more step, passion. And then the final rung on the frequency ladder, joy, appreciation, empowerment, freedom, and love. Now, I do have this scale available to you as a download. You can go to shawnmynar.com/emotion and get that. And I would really highly recommend that you print it out and keep it somewhere that you are when you do your work, when you work on your business, at your desk or at your coffee table or kitchen table or something like that. Wherever you are, keep it there and reference it, because that's really the whole theme of this episode, is that this needs to become a part of your everyday life where you are building awareness around how you're feeling. So that is a list of some of the possible emotions and their frequency of vibration. And then knowing that, what else you could attract that is of like vibration and how that would look and feel to you. So again, when it comes to your business, what would you say is your dominant emotion? And this is where we get honest and really think about it and see what kind of vibe you're bringing into your business. Now, very important point here. This is not to say that having a lower vibe emotion is bad or shouldn't happen, or if you do feel that way, your business is doomed and you should just quit right now. That is not at all what I am saying. We all have our days, our weeks, our months where we're not feeling it. And that's okay. Where you are in fear or doubt or overwhelm, that is okay. That is part of being a human. That does not mean that is what you're going to attract forever and you're never going to get out of this spiral. it is okay to have a variety of emotions. That is why I put in front of the word emotion, your dominant emotion, because yes, I all the time have times when I'm overwhelmed, or I do have doubt, or I do have fear. But my dominant emotion, when I think about all the time I spend working on my business and connecting with you and doing things in my business and creating content, my dominant emotion isn't those things. My dominant emotion is joy and passion and happiness and love and excitement, those kinds of higher vibe things. And so what is it for you? And like I said, trust me, I have been in the place where my dominant emotion was doubt, when my dominant emotion was fear, or where my dominant emotion was overwhelm or unworthiness, or all these things that we can feel as a business owner. And that is okay. And that is why we're having this conversation, because now it is something that we have built awareness around. And that is so incredibly important. And now the question obviously is, how do you change this? How do you, quote unquote, raise your vibration, as I'm sure you have heard before? The easy answer, change your thoughts. Now, is this easy? Absolutely not. Not even remotely. I think that is, again, one of the themes of this entire podcast, now 170 something episodes in, is how do we do that? What does that look like? What does that feel like? How is it even possible? And of course, the answer is yes. But getting back to that conversation that we had earlier, your thoughts stem from your beliefs. Now, your beliefs are ingrained in your subconscious mind and have most likely been there since you were a child. It takes consistent, ongoing work with a huge side of patience to break them up and dissolve them and change your narrative, change your story, change your beliefs, see what you do want to believe versus what you don't want to believe, and realizing that you have the power to decide that. It doesn't happen overnight. It is a process. It is something that takes consistent attention and awareness and action. I've been at this for 6 years, probably continuously, and I still do mindset work pretty much every day. I still write in my journal. I still meditate. I still have those moments where my ego gets ahead of me and I start buying into all those false stories, and then I have to bring myself out. That is normal. We have very deeply ingrained beliefs in our subconscious programming that do not go away overnight, or even in a year or 5 years or 10 years. So this is where I want to continue doing these kinds of episodes so that you can be reminded of the work that is a consistent practice. And when you make it a consistent practice, what can and will change for you? Like literally everything has the ability to change for you, all stemming from this work. So let me give you a few ideas of ways to get started in this whole change your thoughts thing, which is this huge, huge endeavor. But there are a few places to start. I'm going to sound like a broken record to those of you who have been listening to the podcast for a long time. But again, it's a reminder, a little nudge for you to try these things or get back to doing them if you haven't, or just a refresher of what is and is not working for you. First of all, I've already said it, meditation is so important to doing this for a few reasons. First of all, it just gives you a break from that mental chatter, from that ego voice that is the one that has these thoughts and then determines how you're going to feel, what emotions you're going to have because of that thought. So just being able to quiet the mental chatter for a little bit and have a break makes such a big difference. And when you do that, then you also develop your ability to hear your intuition or your inner voice, and that is what then can come through. And if you've had that connection with yourself before, then you know that your inner voice is always really calm and really knowing and has that peace and ease. So your inner voice basically is always high vibe. So it allows you to connect with that piece of yourself which instantly increases your vibration because your emotions change, your thoughts change. Your thoughts come from a different place. And it's that inner knowing, that inner voice. So meditation, definitely. Next up is visualization. You guys know I'm all about the visualization because your brain doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. So if you create a situation that you want to have happen in your mind, then your mind doesn't know whether you're actually living that out or you're just thinking it. And you'll start thinking as if that's your reality, which again shifts your thoughts, shifts where your thoughts even come from. So the more that you can do it, it definitely takes repetition to really get into that place where your mind is like, yep, this is true. This is my truth. This is what's going on. This is how I'm going to start to think. So that is where visualization comes in. That is one of my dominant mindset tools that I use pretty much daily is I personally journal out my visualization, what I want to happen, what I see happening, my desired outcome for any and all areas of my life. And then I start thinking and acting in accordance to that. It's amazing. And then it happens. So really love that. You can do that, yes, by journaling or also just getting into a meditative space and just visualizing it in your mind's eye is an option too. Next, we have what I call working your way up the ladder. So that list I just shared with you of those emotions and their frequencies. Can you take where you're at right now, that emotion, that dominant emotion that's playing out, and this doesn't go for your overall life, but if right now you're feeling overwhelmed, you have a moment where you're feeling fear or whatever, and you can notice that thought that's driving that, can you change it just a little bit? You don't have to go from like fear to excitement or joy or happiness. That's not going to happen. But if you take a baby step up the ladder and find a thought that feels true to you, that's a big piece. It has to feel true. You can't fake a vibration that is just a little higher in frequency. So if I'm scared that I will fail, maybe that could change into I don't feel worthy of success, which unworthiness is actually one step higher than fear. So then while you're still focused on I don't feel worthy of success, that actually shifts your vibration from that place of fear. So obviously the only way to do this is to remain aware of your thoughts. And that's really what I want you to do anyway, because that's what helps so much is being aware of what you're thinking and how it feels and how that's all playing out is just like taking your blinders off and really seeing what's going on immediately makes it actionable, immediately gives you back your power. And that is what is really going on here. So with this working your way up the ladder, if you keep your awareness on your thoughts and how they feel for you, then you also recognize, hey, I have the ability to step into a different thought and with that change my frequency. And then my last tip, of course, obviously the number one thing is to take action. Because nothing will squash your low vibe thoughts faster than getting out and doing the thing. Getting out and proving it wrong. Yes, you have fear. Yes, you feel unworthy. Yes, you are overwhelmed. Yes, you are disappointed. All these things. But then what action can you take that feels different than that goes against that? Yes, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yes, I'm overwhelmed, but I'm going to figure it out. Immediately, the frequency changes simply because you have committed to taking action. And even if you're doing that action with that underlying emotion behind you, it still has transmuted it. There still is another emotion there that brings up that frequency. So do the darn thing. Take action. That's always my favorite tip because honestly, I see a lot of you being stuck in inaction. And I don't want that for you because I know what's on the other side of you going after what you want. So that's why I always say that. I always end every episode with like, just do it. I promise it's not as bad as you're making it out in your head. But that will wrap it up. That gives you some places to start. And really overall, I just want these kinds of episodes to be reminders for you and kind of bring you back to that awareness that really does help bring things to the surface and change things for you when you just can see what's going on for you, what you're thinking, what you're believing, what you're feeling, and how that's all playing out. So that's really the goal with these episodes. So just stay in that awareness, stay with it, do your meditations, do your visualizations, take action, and see if you can work your way up that ladder slowly but surely. You cannot fake a vibration. All right, my friends, until next time, take care. Hey friend, real quick before you go, don't forget to head over to my website and take the quiz to find out your solopreneur personality type. I've created a super fun, super informative 2-minute quiz that will show you which one of the 4 solopreneur personality types you fall into. Could it be the boss, the socialite, the visionary, or the supporter? Which one are you? Not only is it just fun to know more about yourself, especially as it relates to your business, but it's also really important information so you can be sure that you're building a business that works for you based on your energy, your personality, and your desires. Did you ever take those quizzes from the Cosmopolitan magazine back in the day? It's kind of like that, but with actual solid questions and real helpful tips and advice at the end. You can find the What's Your Solopreneur Personality Type quiz right on the homepage of my website at shawnmynar.com. Head there now to take the quiz, then let me know over on Instagram at unstuck entrepreneur what your type is. I'll see you over there.